guys, welcome back to another ADSR massive synth tutorial. If you haven't gotten subscribed to our YouTube channel and you want to, you can at www.youtube.com/ADSR tuts. So today's a cool little tutorial about recreating a Fairlight vocal sound in Massive. For those of you who don't know what a Fairlight is, it was one of the original, I think it might have been actually the original computer-based sampler where it used like huge 8.5-inch floppy disks. Don't even know if you guys know what floppy disks are, but it was a huge clunky machine, but it was state-of-the-art technology back in the 80s, and I think it retailed for anywhere between $80,000 and to $100,000 depending on which version and model you got. So one of the most famous sounds on a Fairlight was a vocal patch, and the Fairlight was this kind of crazy sampler that only sampled in it was a reduced bit rate because of the technology wouldn't allow for multiple samples and tons of key mapping and all those things that we're kind of spoiled with now in instruments like Contact and all that. But nonetheless, you've probably heard the Fairlight vocal sound on some popular music, whether it was remixed or from the 80s. So that sound I played in the beginning is fairly reminiscent of kind of a padded vocal sound from a Fairlight. So play it one more time. So that's the sound, and let's jump right into it. So I have a new sound in Massive. First thing you're going to do is an Oscillator 1. I'm going to take the Mellifant waveform, and I'm going to turn it to the Bend Plus. And then let's dial down the pitch to -12. So now we have that sound. Now take your wavetable position and kind of put it down just right before zero, basically the bottom, and then right click on your macro one that by default is vibrato. We're going to clear that out, and then we're going to take that into this open slot on Oscillator 1 and then drag this down. So now we have pretty similar sound. And we're going to take the intensity until we kind of have you're kind of looking for that kind of a vocal sound. So it's right around in there, and we can tweak that as we go. Next, I'm going to activate Oscillator 2, and I'm going to select the vulgar waveform. And from there, I'm going to turn the intensity down to just under halfway or so. I'm going to turn the wavetable position down to around probably in between 60 and 70. I'm going to turn the amp down a little. So that's the sound that we have so far. And we're going to, let's grab Oscillator 3. And we're going to grab a weird waveform. We're going to grab the guitar pulse. It's weird just in the sense of that it's kind of a vocal patch and we're using a guitar wavetable. Keep it on spectrum. Keep the pitch, actually take the pitch down to -12. And then take the wavetable position down to about there. Leave the intensity where it's at and turn the amp down to about 50%. Alright, cool. So now going on to the noise, just turn up the white noise a little, just so you can just about start to hear it. And then next, let's go on to our filters, and let's choose a low pass 4 for filter 1, and then take the cutoff to about there. And now let's activate the filter 2 and make it a high pass 2. I think cut off around there. And put the mix in the middle so it's kind of activating. So it's a blend of filter 1 and filter 2, so we got a low pass and a high pass going on. Okay, one quick note. You see it says right here you can click on this drop down menu and you have a choice of kind of the quality, which most people use this because some presets with a lot of voices will affect your CPU. But this is actually a cool trick to use when you're trying to create like an 80s sound. You bring the quality down basically to, with Globo Eco, it kind of takes the quality down. And I'll show you that on the finished patch that we're recreating. So here's the finished sound. See, it's on Eco. Now if I turn it back to Ultra, you can see how much CPU it takes. Quick staccato playing is around 25% as opposed to near from 10 to 13. So that's a cool trick to use. I like using when I'm creating a vocal or anything from like the 80s or 70s, or I'm going for vintage styled synths. Okay, so next let's go to our oscillator tab. You can keep all of this the same, and then let's jump over to. You don't want restart via gate because it's a vocal patch. It kind of sound weird with that. Key tracking, key filtering, you can keep all the same. Now, in voicing, you're going to want to change the unison count up to 2. You're going to want to leave it on polyphonic, and then you're going to activate the pitch cutoff, and you're going to drag it in a little bit. So it kind of almost has an organ feel right now. And then the routing, make sure you have, because we're going to use the insert one, make sure you have insert 1 active before it hits the filter. So we can put on a bit crusher to affect the sound a little bit. And then let's start messing with the envelope. So on envelope 4, let's start there. You're going to want to have the attack just a little up, because to make it sound more like a vocal sound, we humans, you have to shout and yell to get to their peak values dynamically. So the attack makes that sound a little bit more realistic. Then keep the decay where it is, keep the level where it is. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to turn up your release to about halfway. So to my ear now it's a little bit more vocally, so let's go back to our oscillator 1. Alright, so that sounds a little bit more vocally and less organy, which is what it kind of was sounding. So let's go to envelope 3, and with envelope 3 you're going to want to turn the attack up just a little bit again. You're going to turn your level on the decay level you're going to turn it pretty much down. Keep the decay, bump the decay all the way out, and keep the release where it is, so you got kind of this slanting triangle. So now you have, and then with envelope 2, you're going to do kind of the same shape as envelope 3. And reason we're doing this is we're going to modulate some points here in a second. And then with envelope 1, you're going to take the attack all the way in, and you're going to take the decay down to just maybe under halfway or so, and then turn the level almost all the way down, and release halfway. Okay, cool. Next thing you're going to want to do is let's modulate some of these points. So next thing you're going to want to do is modulate some of these points with the envelopes we just created. Let's drag envelope 1 up to our filter cutoff 1 and drag it down. I kind of got that crazy vintagey thing going on. And let's activate our macro number 2 and drag that onto the middle slot right here on our cutoff 1. and then drag it down, and then turn this up. Just to halfway maybe, so you're hearing a little bit of the envelope one we just dragged in. And now on filter 2, grab your envelope 2 and then just turn it up a little bit. And on envelope 3, grab that and put it on your oscillator 2 wavetable position for the vulgar. You're going to drag it down just a little bit. And then apply it to the amp as well. And then just turn it up a little bit. Moving on to the LFOs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the performer, click performer, and I'm just going to drag in with the other one that we played in the beginning. I had a set pattern, but it's kind of weird and crazy. So I mean, we could kind of goof around with this random curve. I just clicked random, and it's selected to do both top and bottom levels, and we can drag this into our filter 1. So I usually like syncing these. I'll put it on a slower ratio. So now there's a little bit of kind of a subtle change in movement to it, which I like for a vocal type sound. And now I'm going to take the performance and go to our guitar pulse and oscillator 3, and then drag that down a little bit. So let's go on and add some effects. Coarse ensemble is nice for vocal sounds, I think, in Massive. Let's take the dry wet down a little bit, just under halfway. Slow down the rate. Turn up the offset to about maybe 70%, 75%. And then turn the depth down a little. Let's grab the reverb. And then let's activate the EQ and add a little bit of highs. Go make the reverb a little bit bigger. So now you have a fairly reminiscent sound to a very iconic synth sound from the 80s. You can, cool thing you can do is mess with the noises and grab some different grittier noises. One other thing you can do is you can play around with the different noise types. The Fairlight was famous for its real gritty tone, so white noise is one of the cleaner noises you can use in Massive. You can get a cool result using, I think, the metallic sound. And you can hear how the timbre starts to change a little bit when I hold down the chord. That's occurring because of the performance recreated on our LFO. And to make that a little bit more pronounced, we can open up another performer and then randomize it a couple times. So we're getting some different shapes going on here. It's kind of crazy. And take the rate. Actually, I'll sync it. I'll make the rate quicker on this, but I'll turn the amp down. And now maybe we can apply it to the amps of some of our oscillators. I like that, 16. So if I hold out a chord now. I think that's pretty cool. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions or comments, let me know below. And as always, head on over to massivesynth.com if you're looking for some more tutorials using Native Instruments Massive. See you next time.